And we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the Connected for Real podcast. I'm Rebbetzin Bat-Chen Grossman, and I'm a marriage coach for women in business. Today, with me, I have Bayla, and you're going to introduce yourself in just a second, and then we'll get into our topic of criticism and business, which is so interesting. So, Bayla, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Bayla Haskel. I live in Givat Shmuel in Israel. I made Aliyah around like 15 years ago. I have 4 kids. I've been married for like 15 years, so maybe Aliyah like 16 years ago. And I have been working in business. I have my MBA from Bar Ilan. I had worked in high tech right out of my MBA studies. And I was working in Intel, and then I eventually opened my own business called Veg It Out, which was incredible. And now I'm back in high tech.
So, just tell everyone what Veg It Out was so that they can get a taste of it.
And miss it just like I do. Yeah, Veg It Out was a first and foremost on like a bigger level was like a vegan food platform, like no judgment, just like really good food, not telling anyone to be vegan, just like helping people love veggies more, which like how could anyone be upset about that? I then started a meal delivery business for like working people. That was our main target market that had no time to cook for themselves, but like really wanted healthy, plant-based, not like overly processed foods. And yeah, we were delivering outside of a kitchen of Ranana to basically all over Israel from Jerusalem to Netanya. And yeah, it was a great business and I loved it, but sadly had to close and I went back to tech.
Wow. So that's very cool. I remember it. I was always like drooling at the gorgeous, gorgeous pictures and videos of the food. It is so cool how you can make regular vegetables look so good.
Yeah, and they tasted good. I don't know. Like they also, I think that's important, right? Like when you go to a place for dessert and they send out these like beautiful desserts and they're gorgeous and like you know it's not going to taste good because it looks so beautiful. So like I believe and my customers believed as well that like that wasn't the case with us. I also was still creating content for a bit afterwards. Then October 7th happened and I was getting very involved in social media and all the stuff that was going on. And I, like, for my mental health, I think, like many people, had to take a step back. But hopefully soon, I'd like to go back to creating content under Veg It Out, even if we're not selling a product. And I'm working on a cookbook while
Ooh.
working on tech and doing all the other things. And hopefully it should come out by the end of the year. It's been like 2 years, but basically taking all the recipes that we were selling, all the bowls that we were selling to people, and putting it in a cookbook and teaching everyone how to make them. So that's going to be on Amazon soon. So really excited about that.
That I'm looking forward to. That sounds really cool. Okay, everybody listen up. By the time it comes out, we're all on it, okay? It was
Maybe.
so good. That's very cool. So I know you from there, and I'm excited that you're in and out of business and in and out of, sort of like different points of view so that we can really talk about a lot of different, I guess, angles.
Yeah.
And this month is all about criticism and specifically, so my business, let me just give you a little bit of a, backtrack for all the people who are new or, interested. My business is based on 4 pillars. So there's God at the core, marriage and business that work together, and then you are the container that holds all those parts of your life.
It's beautiful.
So, when I say business, it doesn't have to be a business, but it's the thing that's pulling your attention that you feel is your purpose, that you're giving a lot of time to and makes you come alive. And some, most times. And when I say marriage, all the relationships, all the things that fall under that. So really, we're talking about all the things in your life, how they interact, how they sort of fall into place within your life, and how you can hold all that. So, all that being said, my podcast is built like that. So, we take one topic, criticism in this case, and we come at it from the different angles. So, criticism and God, criticism and marriage, criticism and business, and criticism and you. So, this episode is criticism and business, but the topic is being talked about all month, which is really interesting. Let's talk about that a little bit. What comes up for you when we talk about criticism and business?
That's such a great question. I love that. It's like what comes up for you? Because as you were talking, I was like, so many different things. I think I have a journey with this. I think I'm actually a great person to talk about this because I think like on the high level before we get into the deeper examples and things like that. I think business or what I did defined me. Like I was a good person or I was a purposeful person or then criticism was much, much, much more painful. And when my business, besides just my family, was like the main thing that I was doing or contributing in the world was my job or like the thing that I was doing to make money, then criticism hurt much, much more because it literally was like questioning who I am, my being. But I think in the last few years, definitely after a lot of therapy and going through things and also what I went through with Veg It Out as well, that was probably the most time that the business was actually me, like
Mm.
my essence. So therefore the criticism there might have been even more painful. And I feel like now I'm at a place where I have the job that I have and I have my family, but I'm also starting to do more things besides that. So I think the criticism is less crumbling or less impactful. I can take it and I can learn from it, or I can be like, okay, this is your thing. This criticism's not coming to be constructive, and I can put it to a side better. I'm definitely not perfect at it. It's still like something that's difficult for me, but I think I definitely had a journey with it, and I think I'm in a better place where it won't, be the most important thing that happened that I'll remember every single word of the conversation. So I think that's what came to me when we were talking about this.
That's amazing. So let's get into the details a little bit. People are able to learn more from examples or stories.
For
What
sure.
what can you share? And feel free to share whatever works for you.
Yeah. I've shared this story a lot of times now. So, like, there are some things that happen that are hard in your life. And the first time you're like, don't talk about it. It's super shameful. And then once you share it again and again, it becomes so there's something that happened before I did Veg It Out. Was actually what was the catalyst that caused me to leave the previous company that I was at to start Veg It Out. So it was probably a blessing wrapped up in something else.
Hmm.
But I started working when I was 23. So, like I said, right out of university. My first job was Intel, and the second job was like a startup that was sort of like a break off of Intel. It was a lot of like ex-Intel people. And while I was working there, I was 27, I guess. And just to be clear, I look back at myself and when I was 23, I was super confident and like I had experience in internships, but I didn't really have experience, right? We always hindsight is 2020, right? I didn't, but to me, I know how to do all this. And when I was in Intel and then at this company, I was working with people that were like in their 40s and I was in my early 20s or late 20s. And to me, I was like just as experienced as them. So like I definitely acted that way. So it probably did good to like be brought a few pegs down, but this wasn't like a few pegs. This was like I'm gonna, those cartoon hammers and like slam the ground. So this was a little bit much, a lot much. Basically, there was a saleswoman that was there, and she was like, gave me this whole speech, and I had written down afterwards like every word she said, so I would remember it. So I don't know, maybe I'm like I don't know why to torture myself with all the like horrible things that she said to me. But she basically was, saying to me that like I'm a, smart aleck, not that exact word, the other word. And I like my reputation precedes me. And that when I was in Intel, she asked people about me when she was coming to work here and how like I leave dead bodies in my path and I'm like super ambitious at the expense of other people, which again, I think I'm a more self-aware person now, hopefully. So when I look back on it, it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, she was right. I was manipulative and I pushed people down. I don't think that was the case. I
No.
I really do think that I was a young person and that I spoke my mind and that I probably didn't think about how like people that are older than me have more experience and how this might make them feel. But, you know,
But you definitely weren't killing people and leaving their dead bodies around.
no, I definitely wasn't killing people, and I definitely don't think that I would find information about people and then get them to try. Like, I wouldn't do things like that. I don't think that I was manipulative. I definitely think I'd have a project. I would try to get it done. Maybe I wasn't self-aware enough. I definitely could have done better to be more aware of my surroundings and be empathetic. But it was a very harsh, and like you will never be a good salesperson or you will never be. And I remember asking like, well, what do you think? Right. I wanted to hear this also. Like I don't know why. Like I wanted to hear the criticism also. I guess many of us are fascinated in understanding how other people see us. So like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. She was like, wow, I can't believe you're just taking this. Like most people would call me the B word and then like be pissed off. And I was like, I don't know, it's important to grow.
Mhm. I think
And
in the moment also you don't realize how painful it is until it like starts to seep in.
oh my gosh, that's so, and again, I think today when things happen and they're more painful and everything, I'm like, oh, this is not, oh, you didn't realize we don't have that kind of relationship. Sorry, where I'm not going to talk to you like this or talk about like about these things with you. I think then, obviously, again, youth, but also experience or whatever,
Right.
definitely were in many situations where I don't think I understood that this thing was going to be very, very painful until after the fact.
Right.
And I remember asking her, like, okay, so is there a book I could read? Is there something that I can do to like improve? And she's like, it just comes with experience. It's like when you're a parent, you don't like read parenting books and like
Ah,
become a better parent. That way it's through experience. And now, like, when I think back that story again, or whatever, I'm like, I've taken so many courses in parenting and I've read so many books in parenting, and there's no way I would have been a good parent if I just left it up to experience. But again, like, so we understand who we're talking about, but it's very much like it's experience. And
also, I think the thing that was so painful in that point of criticism is the place where she was putting it down, like you said, like it was really with a hammer. Like she made it sound like there's nothing you can do about it. You're just totally messed up, you know? Like,
yeah,
ouch.
yeah, yeah. And I think that was hard is like I had gone afterwards to like my manager, and I think I eventually, because this was like a big feedback session that I took, and then it started becoming more, and I think at some point we were also like we had gone on a business trip and we were talking to customers of ours, and we were outside. It was like we were selling to soccer teams or app, and we were outside and it was very sunny. It was like in the summer. And I don't know if you know, but soccer fields with like the fake grass, it could be like 27 degrees and it could feel like 40 degrees Celsius just because it's so hot. It like absorbs so
Yeah,
much
the
heat.
fake grass is like plastic. It's
Yeah. And I think I felt like I was about to faint. So I just sat on the side. Like we were in the middle of talking to a customer. She was talking most of the time and I was listening and learning and everything. And I sat on the side because I felt like I was going to pass out. I didn't want to make a big scene and everything. So I just, moved to the side, drank some water and everything. And I think, again, I think that was triggering for her. I don't know. Like maybe she thought I was being dramatic. I don't know. And she again gave me this whole speech. And I think at that point I was like, I started crying on like not on purpose, but like letting myself cry, which again for me, crying in a business setting was like never. That's like no, you don't cry in business ever as a woman. Like that's you're never allowed to, which I don't believe that's true anymore. But that for me was like for sure. And I remember I'm like, I feel very hurt. I'm going to cry now so she can see that this is hurting me. And maybe if she can see how painful this is, she'll stop. And I was crying while she's talking to me about it. And she kept going and was telling
ugh.
me, you don't know what you're doing and you'll never be successful. And, the way you talk to people. And she's like, well, Steve Jobs was, arrogant and like nasty to people and he was successful. So maybe someday you'll be something. But like, I don't know. And I'm like, I want to be in a business setting. I'm working really hard at this. And the words that you're saying are really, really hurtful. Like, I'm really hurt. Can you not see that I'm really, really hurt by the words that you're saying? She's like, well, you're so sensitive. You're just so, and it just became a thing. And it happened. She had started, like, I had spoken to about a manager. I guess they spoke to her and she would come to my office. She's like, I don't even know how to talk to you anymore. You're just so sensitive. And it took
Ugh.
me about a year and a half after this happened to leave. And,
Oh,
if your daughter came and spoke to you about this or a friend came and spoke to you, like, I think I would be like, this is not healthy for you. And I think the people in my setting, like my best friend, my husband, my mom, I think I was waiting for them to just say to me, like, leave. And I think kudos to them though that like I think they wanted me to make the decision for myself because if I would have left that environment because someone else told me to, then maybe I wouldn't feel as shalem
right. As
and
whole.
as yeah, sorry, as whole. And like by the time I left, it was like I know what I'm doing. This is important. I need to move on from this place. It is toxic. If it
Mm.
wasn't clear before, it was really clear to me after 2 years. This place is toxic for me, and I need to move on. And that's how I started Veg It Out. So,
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think we can learn so much from this story. First of all, how to give criticism. Like, please stop if they're crying. And like, Don't, don't make them feel like they're so small and so insignificant they can't ever make it out, and oh, maybe if you're like all these other people, then maybe, but no, but it's just so painful. So please don't do that. But also, it brings us to that place of in business and in any setting, really, there's always going to be somebody who's going to be critical, not because you did anything wrong, but because this is what's coming up for them. And you said that before, and I want to really bring that out here. I don't think you were calling the criticism, I don't think you were doing anything to deserve it or whatever. There's a lot of times just it pops up, and this is something that you now have to deal with. And like you said, in the end of the day, it pushed you to make a decision for yourself and, find for yourself your worth and that you don't deserve this and it's not good for you. And, it's a lot of wonderful blessings along the way. But maybe we could talk about how we can make sure it doesn't hit so hard or it doesn't affect in such a hard way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I think so many things in our life, I don't believe are coincidence. I do believe are from God. So like it's so easy, right? When we're reading like a novel or a story, right? Like as we're reading the heroine going through different things, we're like, no, don't do this. Why are you in a fight with him? Like, why don't you should just know, right? What's his trauma? Like you can watch the story and be like narrating it yourself and like in our own lives when we're going through it, it's very difficult to see all those pieces. But then when we look back on it, we're like, oh, this is how all these things come together. So I think for myself, my father had just passed away from cancer like a year before this, like
Mm.
while I was still in Intel. And I had started therapy around the same time because it was cancer. It was a very like traumatic experience. And that was something that I had never been in therapy before my entire life. And that was something that really pushed me to have to do something. And I was able to like during that time work through these things also. And in some ways, what happened to me, like my reactions after my father passed away, and this were in some way connected, which is super bizarre. But basically, one of the things for me is that I did have sort of a disconnect with my emotions, definitely in the workplace, but in general in my life, because it was like a survival method. Like, this is how you get stuff done. This is how you reduce anxiety. Like, I don't think I was able to use those words, but sort of like, you need to just move forward in life. And I think when my father was really sick and when he was passing away, and then when he passed away, I had this as a survival method of this like disconnect. I'm not going to feel the emotions and things going around it until my, psyche was basically like, that's so funny that you think you're going to suppress this. We are
Yeah.
going to push this up for you. So I basically had to face this like, okay, we go through difficult things and I'm not going to push them down. And I think that was something with this that I had to have had the tools to be able to do that. Like you had said before, this is hurting me and I can put down a boundary, or like this environment is not good for me. I don't have to just fight through it and accept it. I can make a change. And I think that's something in therapy as well. And I think looking back on some of the things that she said, which weren't wrong, right? When people even give us like cruel criticism, there is truth to it, right? Like there could be truth to it. And I think part of the truth was that I think I'm a much more empathetic person now after I've gone through years of therapy. And because I could not suppress the difficult things, the hard things that happened to me, I could then see them for other people and feel them for other people and understand them and value them. And
Mm.
I think that's part of the things that she was pointing out that, again, I don't think I really hurt other people, but it is very possible that I were in situations that I just wasn't empathetic to what someone else was going through. And I just didn't see them well enough.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful because you brought up a couple of times, you don't cry in professional settings. She gave me criticism and I naturally or, subconsciously thought this is what I'm supposed to do, received it and said, yeah, what else? Tell me more. Because that's what you were taught was the right way to do something,
Yeah.
right? And that's such amazing awareness and something that we really could talk about because all of us have these beliefs of how you're supposed to do something. And if you suppress your own emotions and just move them aside, you could be successful. And really, nowadays, we're becoming a lot more aware that Nobody wants to be working with a faker or somebody who's too much of a, professional facade.
Yeah.
It's not good for you, and it's also not good for anybody you're working with, the people you're facing. That's what's coming up for me a little bit now too.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. I also want to give you like a ton of credit and clapping and like good job for going to therapy. I know that it's so helpful. So just, as a little bit of background, my sister-in-law was killed a couple of months ago on her way to giving birth to her baby. So Tel Aviv and Ravid Chaim, Hashem Yikom Damam. And so that's my brother. And for us, it was really, really, obviously difficult. And one of the things that he said right away to everyone who came to visit, he's like, get help, go to therapy, do as much as you can to help yourself.
Your brother said this?
Yeah. He
Your
says,
brother that just lost his wife?
yes, yes. He was telling everyone this is something that she really stood for. She was a therapist. She used to treat people, she used to help people. And you can sit down with someone and go through a process and come out on the other end and not have to ever suffer again, in this situation or in this type of thing. But instead, you just are like, no, it's fine. I'll figure it out myself. And you keep going and you keep moving. And like 10 years later, you're still frustrated at the same stuff and you're still like banging heads against walls. Like, why? Just do it. So he was amazing. He was just like telling everyone, like, get help. This was a traumatic thing that happened to all of the nation. Please, everybody go get help. And it was amazing. There was like all these pop-up, you know, therapists that knew her, that didn't know her, that were offering help to anyone who had anything come up for them. It was really, really very touching and very beautiful. And that's where it really hit home for me how important it is to get help, especially when you feel like, okay, this thing just happened and like it hit me hard. Go and do it. And there was also something that came up after her murder that we went, because I'm his sister. So she's my sister-in-law. I am not close enough to count as anything official, as silly as that sounds. So if let's say I was her sister, it'd be different because, they're close
Right.
enough.
Yeah.
Thank God. I'm very, very grateful that he's alive because he was shot too, and he, thank God, was fine. And I'm very, very grateful for that. And also for his other three kids who are amazing and so beautiful. And so, but like, I'm not close enough to get anything from the government. And so I was looking for ways to help my kids because it's their aunt and, everybody needs help. And
Right.
I showed up at the local place where they're giving kids therapy. And I said, I want all my kids in therapy. And they said, no, in situations like these, we wait for everything to settle and only those who really have a problem, then we give them help. And I was like, no, that's
I don't want
not.
to wait. I don't want to wait for the problem to come out.
Like, let's talk
Like,
about it now when it's fresh and
ah.
ready to like, be released and not have to wait to see what effects it's going to have on our lives. Like that just sounded crazy to me. And it turns out that this is something that she used to fight for a lot,
Know
because
that?
she
You didn't know that she was fighting for that before?
no, I didn't. I
Wow.
knew that she was on her way to getting her PhD. She was already teaching therapists how to help
Wow.
their clients. She was really, really amazing at working with women, with girls, in, her specialty was trauma,
Yeah.
ironically, of course. And so, like, I knew that she did all these amazing things, but I did not know that the thing afterwards, like when it came up, my brother says this was the thing that she was fighting. Everybody in the entire world of trauma was saying that first you have to let the dust settle and then you treat it. And she was screaming and yelling at everyone, no, treat it right away. Because if you can give them the tools, if you can give them the help right now,
They
they
don't
won't
have to
have to,
suffer. They don't
they
have to
won't have to
suffer.
suffer.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I find that to be such an amazing piece of advice. And so I just wanted to take the time to like give you
Yeah.
huge kudos for that because you just said for yourself, it changed your entire experience of how you have how you experience your emotions, how you're able to put down boundaries, how you're able.
We went to couples therapy after because of it. Like once we started that, it was a snowball effect of everything.
Yeah, because once you see you can solve one thing, you're like, okay, here's
Wait,
all my other problems. Let's take them all out.
totally be like, this is totally, I've been looking at everything wrong. We could totally fix this. No, it's really interesting because also, like with my siblings and things like that, like I had just started therapy. So if I could go back in time, this is now 10 years ago. I'm 35 years old. I was 25 when this happened, right? But I had a sibling that was like 13 at the time. I don't know if he went to therapy or not. And I think all my siblings was based on like if they wanted to or not. I definitely wouldn't have been able to say, oh, we should all be in therapy. But I think since I had gone and I'd seen all the things, I definitely recommended it. But families are complicated. We can't really push people to do things they don't want to. But I talk about it. And it's something with my husband as well. Like couples therapy, right, was a stigma. And we're both very private people. Or I would say I used to be more of a private person. And now, in cases like this, what we're talking about here, what I talked about, the criticism in therapy in general, I am much more willing to share personal aspects of this just because I strongly believe that people could get help and could improve. And there's so much good work that can be done. But yeah, the couples therapy also, like I mention it to my siblings, I mention it to friends, and it seems like I'm just being so like blasé about like, oh, couples therapy, whatever. But it's like, no, if we talk about it and this is a thing that we just all do, it's a thing, then it'll just become more of a norm. So
Yeah. And
yeah.
it doesn't have to be called therapy or whatever, but like get help, get, those professionals who are out looking to help you, like I know
But
by
it's
myself, I love helping people. So
yeah,
like for me, I'm a coach and I'm more than happy to show up and help you reach your goals and work through stuff and whatever. But like you have to want it or be ready for it or willing at least.
I think some of it, like because it was such a stigma before, right? And now it's becoming more of the norm. The way like I've described it to like either my mom or whoever I'm talking about it, like because it feels like this, like in couples therapy for sure. It's like I don't like to exercise. I think most people don't. There are people that love it, but like I think right. But like when you're exercising, it's like I don't want to do this. This is so annoying. But then after you do it, you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much more energy. I'm so happy I did this. This was so important. My muscles are aching and this is so painful and this hurts and this hurts, whatever. But like I know in the long term, I can already see that I'm gonna have more energy, but I already feel great that I did it. And when I started picturing that while we were in couples therapy of like it feels like that. Like this, I don't want to be here. I don't want to open these things. They're so hurtful and they're so painful and everything. But then after, it's like that same thing. And so I've described that of like, just like, and so many business people, right? Like, I think specifically business people, like do exercise and are eating better, whatever. Because my mom's in business also in the US. She has a clothing company and she's a CEO. She's very into her business, but like she always says, you have to be in marathon shape. She's 8 kids, so she's doing a lot all the time, right? So she's like, you have to be in marathon shape. So it's like, for many business people or people that are working their own businesses or employees, it's like, of course I'm going to eat healthy. Of course I'm going to work out because I need to have longevity here. Like I need to be my best self. But therapy is still for many people like this, I don't know, it's not the thing. But I think you're eating healthy, you're working your body, you have to work your mind. It seems so clear now, but I don't think it would have been to myself before.
Right. Yeah, I think for me, I actually really see, you have to be in marathon shape. So I see that as like spiritually, emotionally, you have to be journaling, you have to be aware of your thoughts, you have to be like, really digging because if not, then the noise from the business world, the stuff that comes up really gets in the way.
Yeah, the journaling is really interesting. I probably have to do that more. I haven't gotten into that. I've done like also meditation. I've tried to do that. Like I struggle with it. I know they're important. I do use ChatGPT a lot. I think I'm using it less, but I was using it a lot to like work through things. Like I had a situation in my current job where like actually thank God, like the place I work in now, I searched for it. Like I manifested it literally out of like thin air. I've never heard of it before. And like I'd written down all the things that I wanted in a company and major points were like emotionally healthy people that open up when there are difficult things. Like that was so important to me. So like the place where I'm in actually is excellent. Nowhere is perfect, and everyone has to work on themselves, and people have to work on themselves, and business places have to work on themselves. But like from what I experienced till now, maybe at a low bar, like they're pretty amazing. But it happened to be they'd brought in an employee and like it wasn't such a great thing. And we had a situation and they were definitely not emotionally healthy. So when I tried to bring up things, there was a lot of deflection, right? And like defensiveness and things like that. So I was like, ooh, this is, and I used ChatGPT actually. I actually copy and pasted conversations we had in from Slack. And I was like, was I wrong here? Was I too tough? Like I was criticized for being like, I don't know, either obnoxious or I don't know what I don't remember exactly what they said. So thank God I let it go. The fact that I don't even remember the whole conversation means that I'm now able to let that go. But I put it into ChatGPT and I was like, can you help me analyze this? Like, should I have said something different? What do you think's going on for them? And it was actually a really helpful tool to reflect back. Again, it's not foolproof. I don't think we should rely on AI for everything. But in the
Yeah,
moment when I couldn't speak to my therapist, I wasn't going to call a friend or my mom or my husband. It was like a good way to just reflect back to me, like, okay, like maybe this, maybe that, but also them and also this. And like, this is what you should do now. And I think I can eventually get to journaling, but for now, I'm using
I
AI
think
to talk
Chat
it out.
GPT, yeah, I think Chat GPT forces people to write their thoughts down, which is what journaling is pretty much about.
Yeah,
So if it's the way that it's like a first baby step to
right.
writing down what you're thinking, the translation of thought to paper is so powerful because then you can actually look at it and be like, oh, that's what I'm thinking. Oh, okay. Good to know. Because I thought I was thinking something else, and a lot of times you look back at what you were thinking and you're like, I'm not thinking that anymore. I wonder why I was thinking that, so it's really
No,
powerful.
you're convincing me. I guess I have to do it. I feel like maybe I never did it, or even now I'm like, am I actually gonna do it? It's like another thing that I have to like put on to do and be consistent with and whatever. But maybe if I'm like once in a while when I feel like it, let me start.
Yeah. So I have a journaling training in my program, and it's really very pressureless, A lot of people are like, if you take on journaling, you better be doing it every day, 3 pages a day, blah blah blah. And always with the same pen and always in the same handwriting, and it should be perfect and
Yeah.
be indexed, I don't know what. And when I realized that it does not work for me to do that, and I'm not going to do it if I have to do it perfectly because I'm just too much of a perfectionist, ironically. I just let it all go and I do it whenever I want, however I want, with whatever pen is there. And it's always changing handwritings because my handwriting changes by how I feel.
Yeah.
And I journal in the middle of the night when I wake up to nurse or, in some random times that don't make sense. And like there is no rules. And that's just something that has taken away a lot of the pressure from journaling.
Yeah. No, and I think when we're talking about criticism, if we're bringing it back to the topic, no, but like I think that concept of journaling, like if I had that or something like that, even if I hadn't started therapy yet, I think like with many things, but I think what's so powerful about criticism, like why it could hurt us so much, is because like when we're with our own thoughts in our head, like we like exasperate the thing that the person said. Maybe we even like convince ourselves, like, oh yeah, that's they must have said it, it must be true. My
Right.
husband's reading a book now. It's like very well known, so you for sure know it. It's like the four, has the plants on him, the four
Mm.
agreements. You know,
Like Gretchen Rubin before something.
four.
I know what you're talking about now.
It's very well known. Like, I don't know, but people are like, I know it's well known because I see it in Stymesky all the time
Oh
now.
yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I could even see it in my head,
I
the
think it's the four
design of it.
agreements. Yeah,
Yeah.
this one, the
Yeah,
four
yeah.
agreements. Yeah. So he's reading it now. Like, I probably gonna read it. He just read me a part last night, and he said, "Did have you read it? Have you read it yet?"
I read some of it. I
Okay.
didn't go through it.
So there was one thing, again, I don't know what the four agreements are, so I don't know the concept, so excuse me, but there was a part in it that was saying how like we all have, maybe it's an agreement, I guess that's the term that is used in the book, but we have something that like we know about ourselves to be true. So let's say I don't think this about myself, thank God, but like someone says to themselves, like, I'm stupid. So now anything that they do is going to either reaffirm or like they're going to make sure that it fits in. So when they mess up, do something, whatever, it's like, I'm stupid. And they're probably going to do things to reconfirm that to be true. And
Mm.
someone might do something to question it. And then, you're really smart. And that might change everything. All of a sudden, I might be like, am I smart? Oh, okay. Like, let's see all the times that I actually was smart. This person thought I was smart. And again, this is one page, so I'm sure it's going to get into it, but I think what's connected with that, I've heard other ideas of like with a child, right? Like the voices that we have in our heads as adults, like what we tell ourselves, are the things that were said to us as children. So like we have to be very careful what we right. That's why you never say you're a bad boy, you're stupid, whatever it is. But it's like those things are said to us, and that's why everyone's very much into affirmations with children. Right? Like you are strong, you are smart. Like it seems like maybe people don't think it's silly, but it's like we have the ability to give our children and ourselves the voices that are going to be with us in any given situation. If I take my car to get fixed, I have to get my wheels changed. I'm a woman and I'm small and I'm short and I have an American accent when I speak Hebrew. If I'm coming in with me like, oh, they're going to take advantage of me. I'm so weak. I'm so small, whatever. And I'm going to come in and be like, I know I'm small, but I am a very powerful person in a small package and people underestimate me and I can get done the things that I need to get done. So I'm going to go to that, mosach, I'm going to go to that place to get my wheels changed. And I'm going to have confidence now because I know in other situations, I get stuff done and I can get stuff done. But like I think that's why criticism again is important. But like you said in the beginning, we have to be very careful in the way we give it because we can ultimately be giving someone over the voice that's gonna travel with them for the rest of their life. And like we can think about it with children for sure, but adults as well.
Wow, that's so powerful when we think about criticism like that. If we're the ones giving criticism, to think my words might stick with someone forever, then we're going to be a lot more careful about what we say and how we say it. And we're also going to be more in tune with, are they able to hear it? And I think that's one of the things that's so powerful about criticism being given correctly is, can you be so aware that this is the right time, that this is the right situation, that the person is ready and open to hear what you have to say. And I think that was one of the things that the lady was so caught off guard, going back to your story with the sales lady. It's like you were so chill externally that she was like, oh, I didn't realize she was this open to it. What's going on? Because at first I just thought I was like spewing criticism and she was going to be upset and move away, move
Maybe
along.
she didn't want it to upset me. Who knows? Like
Yeah,
she
like
wanted to get
people
into
who
a
are
fight.
looking
Like,
for drama might be subconsciously looking for drama. And
yeah, right.
that was
Makes sense.
probably, something that she's all about. But it caught her by surprise. Like, could you imagine if you actually were questioning, like if you were able to put that boundary and be like, oh, this is hers. She has issues. She has a drama thing. She's trying to hurt me. It's not hurting me. Like, it's not.
I think it's interesting because, like, I think, again, for those of us that have read parenting books and taken parenting courses or have just listened to other people that talk about parenting things, that concept of like not saying to children, you are bad, you are, I think is the same thing for adults. I think it's for our spouses. I think it's for the people we work with that we have to criticism. Like, you really should know, like, you're really irresponsible and we need to work on that even if you say it in a nice tone and whatever it is, that person is going to hear I'm irresponsible. And that's not going to help them become more responsible because now that's their identity. I am irresponsible. So
Right.
when I mess up and when I forget to do things, I'm irresponsible. So, like, what do you expect from me? Like, it's also not good for the person. If you're managing that person, it's not good for you as well because you're just reaffirming this thing that's difficult for you.
Right. I
Um,
want to just like, you said don't say you are anything. So we're also not supposed to say, not supposed to is not something I usually use, but anything positive either, because a lot of times there's too much pressure being given. So like, you're so smart, you're such an artist is like, oh my gosh. So now from this moment on, I have to be this like, high level
I
smart.
know. Wait, can we talk about that for a second? There are schools of thought, right? Like there's a Bayla and Bat-Chen in this. Like, right, there are schools of thought here that are different. Some people are saying you don't do that to children. Like if a child brings you the drawing that they did, you say like, wow, I see green there. I see black. That's, I don't know even what you say next, but like, but there are other schools of thought that you're supposed to give words of affirmation, like I am smart, I am strong, I am powerful, I am. So I'm actually not sure.
Yeah, so I actually what I learned and what I like is you call it by, you know, wow, that was some strength you had there. Like this moment is a moment of strength, or, this is real art. Like you're not, maybe you don't see yourself as an artist, but this was real art and this is really beautiful. So sort of like letting them create their affirmation based on the reality, on their actions, the situation. That's where I take it. That's
I
where I,
know. I want to read up on it more because I do hear both, but like because of this voice, there's so many negative voices walking around. Like I want them to have these positive voices that are clearer, that not just like, oh, one time I created something that was a work of art, but like I'm really good at drawing and like I'm a nice person and I'm a good friend and I'm
yeah.
talented and I don't
And
know.
I think that what happens is that we create those I ams based on things that happen to us or that we do. And so if somebody tells you you are, you are, you are, so okay, that will stick. But like it's a much stronger place to be like, wow, I showed strength here and I, you know, created something artistic here and I was responsible here. Like, wow, that's real responsibility. Well, that means I'm responsible. And then suddenly it's like, I think it's deeper
Simple.
and right. I think it's deeper and more powerful when it's something you collected and created for yourself. And I'll tell you something else from the other side of the story. I'm a good girl. I'm the oldest. I'm, peacemaker. I am always, always the best, the best. I'm a good girl. And it really got in my wheels when I was doing my business. Like when I was starting my business, I
Ooh.
had to do a lot of work on why I'm not doing certain things because I'm a good girl and I have to follow everybody's advice and I'm going to have to do it the way people say. And what if I'm seeing a lot of different ways to do business? Then, like, I can't go with the thing that feels the right thing for me because I'm supposed to be a good girl and follow all the steps and follow all the things. And like, as soon as I give myself permission to, like, I don't have to be anything. Like, I don't have to be good. I don't have to be bad. I just have to be myself. I need to do things the way it works for me. Suddenly I was like following my
Mm.
intuition, doing the thing, and my business completely exploded in a good way after I stopped being so hard on myself. Like finding that like
It's so
be
interesting. Like that's okay. So I'm gonna need to explore that a lot, but it's so fascinating. I feel like I don't know who I was. I think I was just talking about with my son. It- There's something really interesting. You're American originally, right? Obviously.
yeah. I
Okay.
was in America. I grew up in America.
Okay. So myself as well. I've still been lived in America longer than I lived in Israel, but it's actually evening out in a few years.
Yeah, I think I evened out.
You evened out? Oh, okay. So I'm coming up. But I think what's so interesting is like as an American, and again, I know America's huge and it's different types of Americans, but like as a female, East Coast, everything, like I had very much had this like perception of like I'm a good person and I need to be perceived as a good person. And what does that mean? I need to be polite and not
Hmm.
hurt other people's feelings. And again, this is probably why that criticism was so painful also, right? Like I'm polite. And then I come to Israel and people have chutzpah. Like if I'm going to change my wheels and I'm going to wait there on the side and wait for the guy to come up to me, no one's coming up to me. I know now after being here for 16 years, I'm going to get in my car. I'm going to be very, hey, good morning, boker tov, like thing. And I'm going to, oh, where's the owner of the place? Hey, okay, right? I'm going to come in. I'm going to get in the space. I'm going to make sure I'm seen. I'm going to make sure I'm visible. I'm not going to be rude, but I've had to work on the balance of like I'm present and I'm here and I'm going to take up space versus like, is it okay if I can I cut you in line? I only have one piece. Is that, do you mind? I won't do the like just cutting random people, right? Like that still bothers me. I will never
Oh, of
be okay with
course.
that.
I don't think anybody does that, especially not, thinking it's the right thing to do.
I don't know if they realize, but I think that there's something interesting about being able to take like American and Israeli and balancing those things. Because I think, like, I'm still trying to figure out, I don't know necessarily what the ideal is. Because there are some times when I feel like because as Americans, it's so important to be polite, we suppress so much. And then
Mm.
there are serial killers. Like I know I'm being extreme, obviously, like it's way extreme, but like in Israel, there are less sociopaths. Like there are less serial killers. I don't know, is it connected? Because I feel like people here, you're driving on the road and you're in traffic and someone cuts you off, and I will yell at them. They can't hear because the windows are closed, but I will get very, very upset. I might beep depending on what kind of car just cut me off, how safe is it or not. But like in some ways, like I get rage out. Someone's like parking diagonally and taking up two spots. I might yell and get really like, what are they thinking? No one hears it. No one's in the car with me, but like I feel comfortable to let out my rage as opposed to like as an American. So I'm just going back to these things that we tell ourselves, like, I still don't know which way is better, but I'm sort of trying to figure out of like there's a shilu, like there's a combination of something. But
Yeah.
what you were saying about being true to yourself is that's also hard because what is good for you might not be good for other people, but it's good for you. What's the line of like being selfish and
So there's, oh,
narcissistic?
I love this. There's a training about assertiveness. And so there's like the passive, the aggressive, the passive aggressive,
Yeah.
and then assertive. And of course, assertive is the one you want to be in. So the passive is that like, oh, it's fine. She cut me in line, whatever. She
Right.
probably needs to. And then the aggressive is like, I can't believe you cut me in line. I'm gonna like, scream at you forever. And there's the passive aggressive, like, don't you know? Excuse me, are you like in a rush or something? And like whatever, like you're semi nice, but really not.
That's the worst. That's the worst to say
It
when
is the worst. And then assertive would just say the facts like, excuse me, you went ahead of me and I was here first. I'd like to pay now. And what you just did was you just stated facts and you stated your desire, you know? And it's so important to learn assertiveness because it respects everyone in the picture.
yeah.
Maybe the person didn't realize they cut you off. Maybe you were invisible to them. Maybe they were in their own head. Maybe they didn't realize. Or maybe they just weren't taught to be nice and they just cut the line. But now that you put your foot down, they're not going to, you know? And so by respecting your space and respecting them and not being like trying to pretend that you're anything other than what you really are, they know where you stand, you know where you stand, and you can get your request in or your demand in and be really like respected there.
Acted.
So, we're talking about learning to become assertive, and there are real ways to do that. And, you know, it's really important too. And I think like we're talking about like a lot of people throw all these fancy words like be authentic, be assertive, be whatever. And it's like, what does that mean? So I
Right.
think be authentic is be willing to be your true self even when it's not cool
Yeah.
because that's really what it's all about, authenticity. Like people are not, people look at me and say like, how could you not color your hair? You have all these white lines in your hair and blah blah blah. And I'm like, because this is who I am. I'm actually really happy because I love it. When I'm not covering my hair is gorgeous, has these like highlights of gray. Everything else is dark. Like it's so funny that only in the front I got white. But like I always wanted highlights and I finally have highlights and they're natural.
Like I always, when I was a kid, there would always be like, I don't know, in different commercials, there would always like the younger person, whatever, and they'd have this older woman and like she'd be beautiful and she'd have like gray hair, but like thick gray hair. And I was like, that's so gorgeous. Like that's so amazing. So I was like, I'm sure your hair is gorgeous when it's open.
It is so beautiful and nobody gets to see it, but I get to see it and I love it. And I'm not going to color it just for someone else to be
Right.
like, happy and check off a, check mark of like, I made other
It
people
makes you
happy.
it makes you feel comfortable. Like this makes you uncomfortable. Okay, you're gonna have to deal with that.
Exactly. But like that's just such a tiny example of, well, brings us back to criticism.
Yes.
Somebody can come and say something completely true. How could you walk around with so much gray hair? Like, don't you have self-respect? Don't you know that you're supposed to look a
I
certain
can't
way?
believe someone even said that to you. I don't believe that.
Yes, not only that,
No.
I gave someone a ride and she's in my car and she's telling
It's a
me,
stranger? Stranger.
no, like, I know her from places. I don't actually like friends
She's
with
not
her.
gonna hear this podcast. She might.
No, probably not.
Okay. Hopefully not.
And she
No,
says,
no.
I can't believe it. I can't believe you willing to like let yourself go like that and whatever. And she gives me this whole speech. And we're talking about criticism. So I'm like very open about this, very, very critical. And I just said, thank you so much. But I actually really love it. And I'm not going to color it. She's like, you really should, you really should. And I'm like, why? You tell me why. So this is authenticity, right? Like if we were
Yeah.
talking like, can we break it down and give people permission to be themselves? That's authenticity. Or like, I love wearing unmatched socks, not because it's my style, but because I'm a mother of 8 children.
Oh
And
my God.
I could not care less if the socks are matching as long as they feel the same. So I will just pick the ones that make me most happy from the pile and just walk away. My kids, they try to like pair them and they whatever. I could not care less. Like I do not have time in my life to sit around and look for
Compare
a
socks.
pair in the morning,
I hear
especially
you.
not in the winter when I need
You also
pairs.
just get one color of socks, but like, yeah,
I know. So,
who
basically what I
cares?
did was I got a bunch of really colorful fun socks and they're
Yeah.
all the same material and the same feel, but they don't always match.
I think that's a thing now. No, I think that's it's a trend now to like
Of
not.
course it is. I
So
started it.
yeah,
Just kidding.
of course.
Just kidding. No, I do know that people go out of their way to buy fancy unpaired socks. And I told my kids that. I'm like, you should know, by the way, this is like a total cool thing to do.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Oh,
so
I
I
have
was
a
once
meeting now. I'm so
you
sorry. I have a meeting now. What time are we supposed to go till?
oh yeah, until now. Okay. So
Okay.
anyway, let's
This is
just
so
wrap it up if you
fun.
don't
Yeah, yeah,
mind.
yeah. Of course, of course, of course.
How can people find you? Where do you want them to be following you?
I'm still on Instagram. I'm not going on as actively, but definitely follow me at vegitout.com. So veg.it.out at like on Instagram. So
Yeah, we're gonna put all your links down below and everybody will be
yeah.
able to find them.
So that would be the main place. And I'll be back soon with a cookbook that I'm like working on while I'm working full time for kids and all the things. But yeah,
Take your time. We're ready for it. We're excited.
I know. I know.
Thanks so much for being with us. Sorry guys for like the abrupt ending, but
Yeah, sorry about that. I just
I
realized
lost track of time, which is totally authentic of me.
that means we're having fun. So
We were totally, I
I
love you.
really, I had an alarm, so that's the only reason why I have alarms for each meeting that I'm going to have. Otherwise, I just wouldn't get to any meetings.
There you go. So yeah, I have that too, but thank you so much to everyone for listening. Don't forget to be connected for real, and I will see you next time. And thank you, Bayla.